To Morbid Sunshine. I thought about looking into backgrounds of Rex Human today. Um, I put my videos up and I don't expect people um, but everything I put up here is factual. And if you're looking on information and you're not subscribing, don't bother looking at my channel, because I'm getting a lot of people just watching my stuff but not subscribing or even liking it, But I'm doing a lot of it, myself. I do nothing else but research Rex Human. I haven't been online for 2 weeks, just because I got no positive feedback, only negative, but I've had some lovely comments, and I'm not and really positive support, and I'm going to keep on this because I'm just not greedy. I just want to do one thing, and I do as many things as I can in the spare time I have on Rex, but I also want to do other cases as well, because there's not much going out there. I'm not going to make content that's just full of bubbles. I don't make content like that. I make content which is raw. It's down to the point, and that's exactly what this is. It isn't a story time. It isn't bullet points. It's just reading from Google like everyone else can. So I was looking up Dolores, but I really shouldn't. Just to see if there's anything in her background or anything like that. I'm not going to do that on here today because, but putting her name in has given me a list of other things. So, just looking. And people say, oh, I look for every nugget of information, and your channel's just hard to follow and it's unwatchable. This is people on Reddit. Well, then don't watch it. You won't find out the information by expecting your favourite YouTuber to do it. It's a lot of information, and people have time to do certain other cases, and I dedicate myself to knowledge, not speculation, and no time for speculation. It's hard enough this case as it is. I don't know things in the background for 11 years. I've only realised the Long Island serial killer 2 years ago. I've not watched any Netflix. I wouldn't know what that's about. I wouldn't know what any of the media says. Really just reading documents here. I've read his case file. I've read bits. Yeah, I don't want to read all that online because I'm not expert reading out loud, but whatever information I will find, I will put on. Yeah, I will go through any other documentation that comes up new. I haven't, because there's no new news. So if you're wondering where I've been, it's just been waiting. But thank you for all the people who've made lovely comments. They're the people that make my day on this, and I appreciate that. Right, I'm just looking for new articles at the moment. I still don't trust the family. I'm not gonna lie, but after reading about John Soto for so long and how stupid people can be, you know what I mean? I don't know. See, there's other cases in Brooklyn, Boston, New York in general, as I've been reading through the Murder Inc. If you're not listening, that's not my problem. You're not going to find out this information But the people that he's linked to, it's all in that. If you look up the article and read it yourself, bless you, it's a long article. It took me a few days, but I'm reading it out, which takes absolutely longer. And when I've been reading it out, people have been making accusations that it's his uncle, it's not his uncle, and all that. It is his uncle. It is his uncle, you know. I wouldn't say I would be banned and striked if I'd said this stuff and it wasn't true. Just think about that, okay? I've never had one strike yet. So, and I don't watch my language either. So, here we are. Manorville murders. Let's look up. You know what? A lot of death in Manorville. Manorville was home to the site where 2 sets of remains of young girls. Now, this is in the woods where that affidavit of the taxi driver was talking about. And she was trying to get rid of her because he saw her with Shannon. So there is a link there with her death. I think she was hunted myself. And her calling the police wouldn't have made any difference that night. She didn't know what was coming. She was on spontaneous hunt. That's what it was. And I think my personal feelings are Michael Pack took her up there knowing that a death was inevitable. I reckon he has links because also he's been done for trafficking as well, apparently. I have mentioned that and it is fact. If you want to see the documentation again, I'll put her up. But anyway, I feel Michael Pack took her up there knowing full well what was on the cards that night. Brewer was like a reason, just a client as he is. But I reckon he showed Shannon some pictures that blew her mind and she knew what was going to happen. God knows what. But she said herself that they're trying to kill her. Now, if people don't take that information, right, and look into her and assume Shannon wasn't murdered by Rex Heuermanns crowd, look into it deeper, because I realised after looking into it deeper, I don't just like taking John Ray's word for it. I have looked into it, yeah. I've read his depositions of Michael Park, and I've read the other one. The reason I don't read it online is because I don't want any hate towards these people. This is something that's been meticulously planned by Rex Heuermann, and I feel that that day with Shannon, that Michael Pack took her up there, you know, his thing was to get Shannon to trust him, to take her out and all that. Shannon knew that Rex was there in some aspect. She doesn't know his name. And I'm not being funny. I reckon Victoria was probably in for the ride, you know. This is my theory. I reckon she was hunting with her father that night and scaring her. And this is it, you see. You want to believe all that. She doesn't know what her father's like. She's just as bad as him. She's just as bad. I mean, that art tells a story of its own. I do explicit art. I do bondage art. But the thing is, I'm not cutting people up in my art. I'm not. Yeah, there's an element of danger to that art that she does. I understand that. I understand Francis Bacon. Bacon didn't do any cannibalism. He did bondage. There's a big difference, okay? I just find that I've been to museums and looked at art and went, wow, they're fucking nuts. They're a serial killer of some kind. Yeah, I've seen art like that, you know. I've been to all the type museums in England. I'm into modern art. So it struck me straight away as a sign. Because I'm an artist and I'm into true crime, when John Ray said that, I mean, I didn't think about it as people were saying it, but I just thought, there's no proof there. But that's your proof. That's your proof. They knew. Okay. And there's some kind of sport involved. I mean by that is that he videos it, puts it on the dark web, also maybe sells the flesh. I am not joking yet. I just do not trust that Tumblr account of Victoria's at all. I think Bitcheroff is connected in some way. I don't know how he knew it. It's funny how someone commits suicide as well, like the moment Shannon. I think it's a little club myself, like a club of rich fucking know-it-alls who just want to hunt an animal, and that's how they saw these girls. They didn't see them as humans, as John Ray says. They didn't. I know people find that hard to believe. I've read some sick comments where people think, well, don't be a prostitute then. You can't turn around and say that. Okay? You can't say shit like that. Okay? You can't stand and don't say anything, right? At the end of the day, these girls, in no respect whatsoever, are responsible for their own deaths. They have been murdered. Okay? Even down to that child. So, as far as I'm concerned, he's a beast. He's got a daughter who's macabre and exposed to this lifestyle. He's got a son who's got autism to the point, right, that this poor boy has had to endure all these mixed and strange things around him being normal. And that's hard enough. I can't imagine how hard that would be to think that's normal. I have to tell my daughter, she's got autism, I have to tell my daughter that when she's watching the horror My Little Pony, that isn't right. It's not right to behave like that. Pinkie Pie is naughty. It's like a thing online. You express to autistic people what's bad, you know. I think Alaric was probably a lot mixed up with a son, and Victoria was a lot with a father. You know, that type of relationship, which is natural actually, you know. And to the outside looking in, you wouldn't suspect a thing, would you? Let's be fair. And yeah, my theory might sound outlandish to some, but to me, it sounds more logical than Shannon drowning, or, you know, it being coincidence about the doctor. No. They organised these things, and it all went to pot that day with Shannon. It stopped. All that ability to, you know, to go out and free range hunt these women, put them in burlap like they're nothing. Yeah, it sounds like, nobody could do all that alone. I don't know. I mean, when you think about like people like Bundy, right? He did all that alone, but he was so obvious and messy and never buried them. He was into all kinds, but he never brought his victims home. He never brought them to us. He never displayed any signs he was a bad person either. But I tell you what, if you live day in, day out with someone like that, and you go away for 2 weeks and come back and you smell death in your house, you don't think, you know, that is exposure. That is exposure to me. Let's read about the Manorville kills anyway. This is in 2002 in March. Oh, sorry, August. On February 17th, 2012, a hiker searched for deer antlers in the thick, sprawling woodlands of Manorville. Made a grim discovery. The skeleton of a man who was 10 years later has yet to be identified. So he's not been identified yet. So there's another, he's got no MO, as the modus operandi, they call it. What means is he's changing that to fool the police, which is right. I mean, such child's play that the police don't know that. Oh, how can you change it? Yeah, people change their MO. You know what I mean? They get desperate, they get tired, they get energy back. You know, so yeah. Gateway at East End, located in the heart of Long Island's Central Pine Barrens. 100,000 acres, that's a big forest. Preserved to prevent pollutants from infiltrating the region's aquifer that serves as its sole source of public drinking water. This was not the first dead body to turn up in this area. That is isolated in design, nor would it be the last. People say, how come their families don't come forward, says Joseph Giacconi, a retired police force detective who commanded a cold case squad. A lot of the time people just leave on their own and don't want to be found. And then they come up like this. And then there's no report from them. There's no other information. It happens. Families disown, people move forward. Look at Shannon's lifestyle. It happens. Okay. So it makes things rather difficult. The discovery, I mean, the police are brilliant so far, you know, since 2002. The discovery of one more than half a dozen sets of remains to turn up in Manorville over the past 3 decades. Half a dozen, 6, okay. Before Suffolk County Police found 10 sets of human remains in and around Gilgo Beach in 2010 and 11. So even there, they're thinking it's the same person. It's the same Rex, yeah. I wonder if he read this article. It was the bodies found in Manorville that sparked fears of a serial killer on the loose on Long Island. Although only 2 Manorville cases appear connected, Suffolk Police Kevin Breyer, the commander of Homicide Squad, declined to comment in 2012. Case department spokesperson, other than to say the victim died of homicidal violence, and there was no update in the investigation. Medical examiners have determined the victim to be a man between the ages of 30 and 50 with brown hair who had recovered from a vertebral stress fracture, and a broken fibula. We'll look these bones up. What's that? Vertebral. Wow, where's my bloody article gone now? Oh, you asshole. I was not looking at that. Oh, you can't. Sorry. I hate it. It's like you can't look on two fucking options in my phone. I hate it. So sorry. I'm gonna hope I find that fucking article now. Right? It's a database. No. It was over Manorville, wasn't it? Okay, me history. Oh, you can't. Listen, I'm gonna have to look for that again. Sorry. Manorville. Okay, I'll take a screenshot of that. Because it is important what these bones, what the fractures were, what the remains were in bad condition. He was wearing white and green tube socks and had on an extra large Eddie Burr wristband. I don't know what that means. I probably walked by it 100 times before. This is the person who found it. And I saw it kind of sticking out of the ground, and it looked unusual, Matt Samuel, who made the discovery, told reporters at the time. I looked a little closer from there and discovered it was remains. It was wrapped in bed sheets and in plastic. It was a whole body, but just the bones. There was trees growing up through it. Oh God. So it had been there a long time. The earliest unsolved Manorville case also had the biggest breakthrough of late in 2020. Suffolk police made headlines when investigators identified the murder victims 20 years after. Grisly discovery, Valerie Mack. I think she'll be on the list next. Woman last seen in Philadelphia, whose naked, decapitated and partially dismembered torso was discovered by hunters in Manorville on November of 2000. Authorities, so 11 years later, her hands were found, bits and pieces in Long Island. The family DNA matches the public database to identify her, although there has been no news on her case since. Mack's case is one of the most clear linked, and another in the Manorville area is Jessica Taylor, whose remains were dumped in a familiar fashion, less than a mile away from Halsey Manor Road. The skull and partial limbs, both women, were found 11 years later, 50 miles away in Ocean Parkway. Some of the remains the police found near Gilgo. Max isn't the only unsolved Manorville murder in which investigators have made breakthrough and put their name to the victim. But in this case, a man found in November 2003, 5 months after Taylor, was found 20 days before another unidentified male was found dead in nearby North Shirley. Police have said the victim's family asked authorities not to release the victim's name when he was finally identified in 2015. The case remains active in homicide investigation. Police have said his remains were uncovered in the woods at near 300 yards south of Long Island Expressway near Toppings Path and more than a mile west of East 71. The mushroom picker who made the grim find waited 10 days before reporting it to police because he was scared. They ultimately made the call after having nightmares. The body looked decomposed, like it had been there for 3 or 4 months, the hunter told the Post, which didn't print his name because he feared for his safety. I was terrified, and I didn't tell anyone except my wife. When the remains were first discovered, they were so decomposed that the sex was not immediately clear. Weird. Oh, I see, yeah. Forensic anthropologist initially confirmed the remains as a 35 to 50-year-old man with no trauma done to the skeleton. Police had said at the time North Shore was Sun reported he was described as white male 5'6". Another small male. Wow. Suffolk Police declined to release any further updates. The country investigators have acknowledged how important the name can be getting justice of unidentified murder victims. Some identification of whom these people are will certainly give us an opportunity to backtrack and figure out what happened and why. This is why I'm looking into this, and I'm glad I did, because I know now the humans connected to this man. Suffolk Police Homicide Squad told a New Island ear when police were trying to identify Mac and still unidentified man found strangled to death 2 miles away of North Shirley 4 days after Mac was discovered. Without identification, there's not a lot to go on. That's Jessica Taylor. Cold case. Not all of the Manorville cases had grabbed headlines over the years. See, this is the one that has grabbed the headline. Do you know why, don't you? Because of the size of this gentleman. He's petite. He's 2 inches taller than me. You know, easy to grab for someone 6'4". Yeah, that's what he looks for. He's into men too, you know. This might be another sex worker because no one has come forward to identify the person, and that's very telling in these victims. Yeah, it sounds similar. Although it proves especially tragic, on April 1996, hikers found getting harassed for death payments. I am so in debt. Never mind that. I'm doing this now. Child in the woods. What? On April 2007, 1996, hikers found the skeletal remains of a child in the woods near exit 70. Investigators determined her identity, 4-year-old Jennifer Shafka of Queens, in 2005. A year later, her mother was charged with second-degree murder and her father charged with hindering prosecution for killing of their child in 1990. They were later convicted. Manorville's reputation as a dumping ground drew some non-homicide. Now this might be these parents are in prison for the murder of their child. All this dumping ground is heuermanns. You know what I mean? He's got two victims there. And it's no coincidence this man's there, is it? On March 21st, 2012, a jogger found 45-year-old Piora Simonauskas of Central Islip dead in Manorville Hills. County Park. Investigators later determined that she died of accidental overdose and her boyfriend left her body in the woods. He was charged and improperly disposing of a body. Now, if these people admitted to these things, they're not saying much, are they, about that? And which I'm really going to have to save this article and yeah, look back on this further details. So stay tuned for that and subscribe, please, because I'm losing hope of people like interested in this case. On October 15th of 2015, a driver on Wading River Manor Road in Manorville noticed a fire on the side of the road, Otis Pike Preserve. It was discovered a buried body. The victim was later identified as German Guzman, 36, of Ampville. Two men, Brian Rosales and Migeri and Owen Soares, whatever, later pleaded guilty to his murder. So, okay, why are these all coming up? I think this is what makes this pretty difficult to determine. But yeah, I feel that one's definitely connected to Rex Heuermann, the gentleman who's 30 to 50 years of age. As for unsolved cases, Giacoloni, the retired cold case investigator, is optimistic. He knew what was coming, that a resolution could be on the horizon. Now that the county has new set of fresh eyes, a newly appointed Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison and recently elected Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney. I'm really looking into see a lot of information coming out on these cases in the next few months, and with the new administration, whatever, there's a lot of things to be positive to identify these people. So I think that Manorville's going to be next. Manorville, evidence from Manorville, that's what they were looking there for. There's more victims connected to Manorville and him. Yeah, so don't be surprised if a gentleman in Manorville comes up next. I will keep you tuned and stay posted. Lots of love. Keep it real. Keep it in the comments. Come on, ask me questions. Tell me theories. I want to know your thoughts. Thank you. Bye bye.